Hello, everybody, and welcome to an episode on the Glory Rates podcast. It is your boys, Don Benito, my guy, my favorite guy. What's good, Pastor D?
Hey man, uh, I don't know, man. I'm happy. I'm really
You
happy.
see my face? You see
Yeah,
my
yeah,
face?
yeah, 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 yeah,
I'm
yeah,
happy because
yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah,
here with you, man. I'm
yeah,
here with
man.
you.
It's a combination of relief and excitement. Relief that this horrible season is over, and then excitement because we won the FA Cup. You know,
Such
it was
contrast, huh?
the contrast. The
Contrasting feelings
contrast is
and emotions.
ridiculous.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
ridiculous. And what gives me some sense of like pride or you know good feeling is that all these other teams above us who did so well in the league have got
yeah.
nothing to show for it at the end of the day. Arsenal, they're, competing to win the league, fucking bottled it, ended up the season trophyless again. And at least we walk away with the FA
Yeah.
Cup, and
God,
we still have a chance to go and win Community Shield and fucking have
God,
three cups in the
God,
space of 2 seasons,
God.
you know?
Ah,
So yeah,
you know what?
man.
That FA Cup victory was so sweet. I don't know
Yeah,
about you, man. I don't know how you felt it, but I
yeah,
I watched that game and I'm like, what did these boys smoke? I
yeah,
want
yeah,
some of that. I want
yeah,
it.
yeah,
I want it because nah, man. Thank you because for the season that we've had,
yeah,
that was that was the perfect way to end it.
yeah.
It was the perfect way. We're eighth, but we've got a trophy. We are back
Mm,
in Europe, or we have a potential of being back in Europe. But
yeah,
my guy, welcome back. It's been a minute. I have
yeah, man.
missed you.
Hey,
So
man.
there's a lot. There's a
Yeah,
lot
yeah.
that's going on at Manchester United, and you
Mm,
and I, you and I have had countless of conversations. Like we've had conversation after conversation after conversation, and I think one of the conversations that we really butted heads, you and I, was
yeah,
Ineos.
yeah,
And I really want us to dive in head on. Like that's the first topic that I want us to jump on.
yeah,
And like, when we had our conversation the last time when we butted heads, you actually showed me that no, listen, we need to give Ineos time. We need to. They're trying to improve a lot at Manchester United, especially with the staff and how the club was being run and it's rotting from inside out. You gave me a very compelling argument about Ineos being in the position that they're in. So
yeah,
now that was then, right?
yeah,
Like that was what, a couple of months ago.
yeah,
Now we are at the end of the season, and number one, we're not sure if Erik ten Hag is going to keep his job. You know, number two, there's a weirdness. Like there's just this sort of, I don't want to say stagnation, but we are sort of in limbo. Like we don't even know what's going on. And remember, on my side, I was like, man, I mean, that day, to be honest, I was emotional. Like I was emotional maybe because of something else, and I just didn't want to hear it. Manchester United were losing. I had all my hopes in them, and then they go and do that. So I was just like, you know what? Screw it. I'm done. So
yeah,
in my mind, I was seeing red, Ineos, red, red, red. But it came like there was an origin for that feeling. And I did express that I kind of like don't trust them, and I'm gonna give them a chance. But now, D, please, man, I need you to put me at ease again because
yeah,
I am not calm. I'm not.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
I'm not.
yeah,
Like I don't understand what's going on, and like I'm like the news that I'm waiting to hear is they're giving Erik ten Hag the job, or Erik ten Hag has been offered another contract, or contract talks are underway, something. But right
yeah,
now, the feeling that I'm getting is David De Gea all over again.
yeah,
You know what I
yeah,
mean? And I'm nervous, too. So
yeah,
please
yeah,
put me at ease, guy. Put me at
yeah,
ease.
man. You know what? I don't even know where to start, but let me just say one thing. Like, I know currently a lot of people don't like what's happening with Ineos and Sir Jim because of the whole Ten Hag decision. I'm not gonna lie, like myself, I'm also very pissed off about it. I'm very annoyed. Very disappointed that this news actually got out the way it got out, and very disappointed that Ineos themselves, Sir Jim, didn't come out with any message or statement to like flush out all these rumors and say this is not true. This is our guy. So for them keeping quiet, it shows there's some element of truth to it. Which is very worrying and very concerning. You know, with the David De Gea thing, I see where you're drawing the parallels from.
Yeah.
But I think what gives me more confidence over that was because with Dave's contract, it was literally coming to an end. It was done. It was that thing of whether they're going to renew it or not. In Ten Hag's situation, he still has one more season left, right? So it's
Yeah.
not really a thing of renewing or whatever. It's just that message of is he going to continue as the manager or is he going to get sacked, right? So
Mm,
which gives us a little bit of some hope. Now, in terms of the rumors and stuff that's been spreading out there, I'm not gonna lie to you. Before FA Cup, like I heard
mm,
that piece of information and I told myself I'm not gonna indulge in any more news about this until we get something concrete you
yeah.
know
Yeah.
because I just don't want to throw myself down this rabbit hole of theories and what could be happening and this and that and which manager could possibly take over and stuff like that. I don't want to be concerned about that. I
Mm,
know I
mm,
should, but like you said, man, it's so much of a heartache and I don't want to go through that depression. We ended the
mm,
season on a high. You understand what I'm saying? Like we won the FA Cup. The season is done. I just want to relax. I want to relax, get ready for Euros, and then worry about United stuff afterwards, right? But with the Ineos guys, I still trust them. All right. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that Ineos are going to completely transform this club. They're gonna take them back to glory days and stuff like that and whatever.
mm.
I'm just excited that we finally have people in charge who understand the footballing side of things.
Preach.
And for me, that gives me the belief that we will start seeing the sort of changes that we want to see, you know? And I remember we were going back and forth in the VNs, like what you're saying. And I
Mm,
spoke specifically about look at the small changes that are actually happening that weren't happening before with Bo,
mm,
Ed Woodward, all those guys and whatever. Those small issues were not being addressed. And these
mm,
guys come in and they realize the importance of those issues, because they're not small issues. For the fans, those are like big and major concerns
yeah.
that need to be addressed. And I remember we went on this episode, we were talking about the stadium and how people are like,
Yeah.
no, they don't want Old Trafford to be renovated, blah, blah. I'm like, but guys, this thing has been sitting for 100 years. What do you want to happen? The roof to collapse and kill 1,000 people. It has
Mm,
to get fixed. And this is something that the Glazers were outright ignoring. They didn't want to do anything about it. And Sir
mm,
Jim comes in and with them in a matter of months, he's put money down, he's fundraised for money, to actually start getting this thing on the road. You know,
mm,
we spoke about the tardiness in the dressing rooms and the overall cleanliness, the staff, the support. Like he's getting some form of structure that can better help this team grow and,
mm,
hopefully, get back to the glory days. But we all know that's, something that's very difficult to replicate in this modern day of football. It's just one
mm,
thing that just comes, generation after generation. Um,
yeah.
so like now it's City's era, but City will never replicate what United did over 2 decades you know, because
That's true.
looking at Guardiola is probably gonna leave. Rumors are that he's gonna leave after next season, and then what? You check what I'm saying? And even in this past decade, it's not like what they did was like what United did over a decade. You know,
Nah.
it's only now that they did the fucking.
The treble.
You check what I'm saying, but in any case, man. But I think you get my point. So I still have faith in this Ineos project only because they understand the footballing side of things. They know what needs to be done. They know that you need certain people in certain positions. And like I said, when you look at this Avengers team that they're like forming, it's people who have been at clubs and you have seen the difference that has been made. You know, you've seen the difference. Like you can't question these guys' credibility. So why are we questioning them when they're coming to Man United, if that makes sense. Like if you do a deep dive investigation of Dan Nash was the Omar bin Rada, bin whatever his name is, Barinda,
Omar Berrada. mm,
Barada, yes, Dan Ashworth, etc., etc. All these guys that are being brought into this club, it's all
mm,
for the benefit of the club. And yes, I know
mm,
that this Ten Hag thing is a very touchy and sensitive, topic. And I've sort of come to terms with the fact that yes, there's a possibility that he may get sacked, and there's a possibility
bruh.
we're going to get a manager that we don't want. But at the end of the day, apart from that, right? Everything else is still moving in the right direction. And I'm pretty sure that even though they get that first manager signing wrong, because Ten Hag was not their appointment, right? They found Ten Hag. So whoever they're gonna bring in first, we'll consider that one like the first manager under Ineos era, right?
Mm,
So I don't
mm,
mind if they flop on that one, as long as if they bring in, for example, Poch or Tuch or whatever, they come in, they
yeah.
flop, and then they bring in someone else who's gonna do a better job, you know. I just want to see that direction. I want to see that drive. I want to see them not repeat the same mistakes that the previous regime did, because
Mm,
if they're saying that, look, we don't feel Ten Hag is going to fit into this new way of us moving forward, then they have to sort of prove to us that they are right and we are wrong,
yeah.
because they are
Yeah.
footballing people. Under the
Yeah.
previous um, managers and stuff like that, we trusted the process to be flawed because they just didn't understand football. They didn't understand the
Mm,
football side of things, but these guys do understand the footballing side of things. So we
mm,
expect them to know better and do better. So if they want to get rid of Ten Hag, I'm not fine with it, but then they should, moving forward, like, show the credentials, you know. They
mm,
must come and deliver what they did at those other previous clubs that they did and move those clubs into a better position than where they were before they came to those clubs. So I still trust in this project, that we're going to see some positive changes, but the Ten Hag thing is definitely gonna scar me if they do let him go. I'm not gonna
you
sit here
know,
and lie and say it was the right thing to do, but
I
I'll
was
still trust that things should be moving well.
also have that feeling that he might be sacked. I was hoping, and then you said
Yeah,
it, and I just like fuck, because this, when people start saying, you know what, we are now coming to terms with that idea that this guy could get sacked. The moment that happens, Brian, I start getting really, really, really scared. But
yeah,
one story that actually put me on the spot, like that made me actually realize that, ish, you know what, we could be heading, like Erik Ten Hag could be heading out, is because Benny McCarthy has not. There's an issue with contract extensions. He's not getting them. Those discussions are not happening. And
mm,
boys feeling, yeah, like, hey, this is the situation that's happening at United. People are the contract extensions, the reviews, like, it the way they're doing it is like it looks like people are not going to last. So if Benny
yeah,
McCarthy is on the chopping block, and to add on to that, I read one story like a week or a week and a half ago, and what was crazy was that they were like, if Erik Ten Hag was to get sacked, he would bounce, and only Steve McLaren would stay.
mm,
And I thought that was a weird article. I thought it was a weird thing to read, but somehow I got it. Like I'm like, you
mm,
know what? You know, I can actually see these guys do something like this. Like I'm not
yeah,
I wouldn't put it past them, you see. So now I'm sitting here and I read that Benny McCarthy thing, his interview or the story that he was talking about because he came out with the Jaden Sancho stuff. I don't know if you've seen that.
no,
And in that talk, in that same breath, he talked about everything else about the no contract extensions. And I was just sitting there going, "Oh my God, Erik Ten Hag is gone," because Eric
yeah,
brought this guy in. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
all
yeah,
these
yeah.
other stuff. So I don't know, man. I don't know.
But you
I
know
don't
what?
know.
As much as it sucks, I think the one thing I can commend the Ineos guys for is putting every single body on the chopping block, not just the manager. So even the players as well, you know, what I heard, obviously, before like FA Cup, before I, detached from everything, was everyone's on the chopping block. everybody, not just Ten Hag, but the players as well.
Yeah.
So I would be happy if Ten Hag had to leave, then other players that we feel are a problem in the club and need to leave also follow suit. You know what I mean? Like it's a proper clear out. Like if it's gonna be the manager, then it should also be like Bo Rashford, etc., etc., etc. All of them should be flushed out of that system, and then let them do what they need to do in order to get to where their plans, where they've seen themselves with their plans. But yeah, man, I hear you. Like it's very concerning. Like obviously what you've brought up now, because I mean, if you're talking about other staff in the management, them not getting their contracts extended, then it's a
Bruh.
huge call for concern. It really
You,
is. But the thing is, like, you know what, man? I don't always want to see things like on the positive side of things, but at the same time, it's like, okay, maybe it's also that thing of they're just taking their time to like really, 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 really assess the situation before they jump the gun. Because we've seen so many times in the past where um what you call this, the management have jumped the gun on a lot of things, like extending
mm,
managers' contracts, extending players' contracts, and just been very detrimental towards us. The other
mm,
day I was reading an article on Martial and what Jose Mourinho said. I don't know if you checked that
mm,
one out, where he was like,
mm,
people were surprised that I was benching Martial, blah blah blah. But basically alluding to the fact that he wanted to sell Martial when he was at United, but the club blocked him from doing that. And if you think about it, ever since Jose left, what has Anthony Martial actually done for Man? And look, this is a player that I really love. And obviously, this opinion is not coming because of that article. And you know, Ben, how much love I have for Anthony Martial.
you know, I
So this is
know.
not
Ladies
some
and gentlemen,
twisted,
that's
you know.
Martial. That
Yeah,
let me just put it out there. Like him saying what he's about to say about Martial is heavy. It's significant because he was a fan. Like you loved
yeah,
Martial. We both did.
yeah,
I had that rocky hate love
yeah, yeah,
relationship with
yeah.
him. Whew. But yes,
Yeah.
so,
Yeah, so exactly. So like when you sit down, and I know you don't really like stats, but when you sit down and you look at the stats and you're like, okay, what have you actually done for us in the past 5 years? You know, it's nothing. It's literally nothing. We could have
how
actually
many
got
goals
rid
he
of him
scored?
for a very good price and brought someone in better. And when you look at a lot of these players, you know, the stats are shocking. They are shocking, Ben. We have mediocre players. This other day, like, Chuma, it was like 2, 3 days ago, and it was so weird how I got quickly emotional about this. And I threw like a proper tantrum, you know, because she comes in from work and she's like, oh, I heard Rashford, yeah, she's like, I heard Rashford what Chris was talking with Arteta. So obviously she was alluding that Rashford wants to go to Arsenal. Dog, the way I got so pissed, you know, I'm like, if he wants to go, he can fuck off. You know what I mean? He can go score 100 goals for Arsenal. I don't give a shit. Like I was, man, I was putting her on full blast. It's like she's the one who, what I mean, initiated it. Because I was even telling her, I'm like, if he goes to Arsenal, who is he benching? He's not benching Bakayoko Saka. He's not benching Odegaard. He's not benching Gabriel Martinelli. What the fuck is Rashford? Is this because he's wearing a Man United shirt? Is this elite player? Hey, dude, I was going on a fucking rant, fam. But afterwards, it was like this deep emotion. And this is something that all United fans know. A lot of the United players are not elite players. They just seem elite players or world class players is because they're wearing a Manchester United jersey. Put
Yeah,
them in any other jersey, they fit. Put them in an Everton jersey, you'll be like, yes, this is an Everton type of player. Just looking at stats and everything else that follows it. But for them to be called United players, none of that. None of that. There's a handful of United players, that you can count to say you guys fit that, mantra or spectrum, or you you
mm,
you meet the criteria of saying that you are a United player. If you had to
mm,
put Bruno in any other jersey less than a United player, you'd be like, this guy deserves to play for a bigger club. But a lot of these
mm,
players, you put them in another type of jersey, you'll be like, yeah, it's fair. You know what I mean? I don't see you
mm,
breaking into any first team if you go to play for another club. So like Rashford going to Arsenal, he's not benching anybody. He's not like realistically speaking, and it's not me hating on Rashford. Rashford is a very fucking talented player. I'm not going to lie about that. But his
Mm,
consistency is piss poor.
yeah,
You know, it does not
yeah,
come close or compare to the starting 11 at Arsenal. And if he thinks he's
mm.
going to go to Arsenal and walk into the first team, he can
He's
forget
gonna
about it. He can forget about it. You know, maybe the talks with PSG are much more, work more
concrete,
in his
man.
favor because of the Mbappe move to Real Madrid, and then he can come and fill in Mbappe's shoes. But other than that, there's no way he goes to Real Madrid and puts anyone on the bench. There's no way he goes to Bayern. There's no way he goes to Barcelona. There's no way he goes to Chelsea. There's no way he goes to because there are more consistent players of equal talent and caliber, who deserve a better starting place in that team. And when he wasn't called up for the Euros, I wasn't surprised because I'm like, you
I was
don't
happy.
deserve it.
I,
You don't
and
deserve
when I
it.
say I was happy,
And
I don't mean it in
yeah,
that bad way.
no, I
Yeah,
get it.
just
I
like,
get it.
yeah,
But I think it's something that really needs to give him this wake up call. You
yeah,
know, to
yeah,
be like, I'm not just gonna be picked just because I'm in a United jersey. Just because I've got this, generational. It's not even generational talent, but you know what I
uh-huh.
mean. You know, so
Some-
you have to
Thank
earn your place in that team. And I think for the first time, Guy Southgate made the most, you know,
bold
professional.
decision. Huh?
Exactly, to actually say, "I'm not going to include Rashford in this team. There are other players that are better deserving," albeit that he did include some other players which are questionable, but at the end of the
It,
day, I think the Rashford one spoke volumes. I think it really
because
spoke volumes.
he was always the first, probably the first 10 names in that
Exactly.
list. No
Yeah,
doubt.
yeah,
Radford was
yeah,
there.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So
It
it
was
was,
definitely gonna
yeah.
speak volumes, and let me tell you something, Ben, because I know maybe some people felt that him being dropped was gonna make such a big difference in this game against FA Cup. For me, I'm like,
Mm,
it's not gonna make any difference. It's not gonna make any difference, at least now. I think just from a mental, point of view to like get that shocking news, turn it around in one game, man, for me, it just didn't make sense. We'll probably see a different Rashford next season, but like that was just too soon for us to expect, boom, elite Rashford after the news that he gets dropped. Nah, because even if he had a good game and he scored 6 goals against City, it's not like Guy Southgate is gonna ring him up and be like, "Oh, my bad." You know what I mean?
yeah.
I missed your name on the list.
That was
Actually,
nonsense.
you know what I mean? It was never going to happen. And I'm sure he knew it himself. He's like, so what if I perform? It's not going to change the fact that I've been dropped from the team. There's no way I can make it back into the side. So for him, it's like,
Mm.
I just need to close the season off and reset. So that was never going to make a big difference. So yeah, man, it's
No, I'm actually also happy that he was dropped. Not in the sense that, because every footballer wants to go and play for represent their country. So I don't mean it in that way.
yeah,
No,
yeah,
but in the sense that your season dictated your position in
true.
that group that goes, and you didn't perform. And it
Yeah,
would have been blasphemy, actually. I think it would have even rubbed a lot of United fans wrong if he
yeah,
made it into that team to go to
yeah,
Europe, because it's like, what is it that all these managers see? And mind you, if they're planning on bringing Gareth Southgate to Manchester United, if he had brought Marcus Rashford in, that would have been a taint in his CV, because it's like,
yeah,
look, dude, are you for real? And
yeah,
Manchester United want to bring you here when you're nah.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
we're not having that, my guy.
yeah, man.
To add on to that Benny McCarthy story, obviously we did say that we are going to stop talking about Jadon Sancho, but there's a new light.
Okay,
There's new info that has come up. I'm gonna give you the quote that Benny
okay,
McCarthy said, that Jadon Sancho said.
all right,
So Benny McCarthy spoke, and he was like, "I spoke to Jadon as a coach, mentor, friend, and as someone that grew up in the streets as well, who understands the code and everything, because Benny McCarthy, Cape Town,
yeah,
those
yeah,
big
yeah,
flats, he
yeah,
lived. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So he was like, the quote, he said, this is what Jadon Sancho said:
okay,
I am not apologizing, because if I do, I am apologizing for being lazy, always being late, and for training, always being late for training and not doing my best. That is what I'm apologizing for. And those were his reasons.
Yeah.
So basically, Jadon Sancho was tuning, no, 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 no. I'm not late. I'm not lazy. I'm not this. And if I apologize to the gaffer, it means that I am apologizing to all these things. D, what say you? Because
Ah man, you know, Ben, before I even kick this off, nah, before I even give you my answer, before I give you my answer, of late there have been a lot of individual United players having interviews on, Sky Sports, the overlap, blah 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 blah, and watching these interviews has sort of like made me, take a U-turn on a lot of opinions I've had about certain players and stuff like that. The same way Gary Neville had a U-turn, after speaking with Ten Hag. And
mm,
one of the more recent ones was the one with Andre Onana. I don't know if you watched it,
mm,
and just listening to what he had to say. I'm not gonna spoil it, so you can go and watch it. Listening
uh,
to what he had to say, it didn't make me do a 360 U-turn on how I feel
on
about
him.
Onana, but it
Mm,
definitely did remind me that, sometimes as fans, we we just see what we see, and that's it. But behind closed doors and stuff like that, there's a whole bigger story which we don't get exposed to. So it's nice when we get exposed to, the other side of things, and then we can have a better way of judging these players on how we see fit. So with the Sancho situation, that one has always been, I've always been on the fence about that situation because I've just, for me, it's man, it's so borderline for me. You know, I can't strongly feel, one way about it, and I can't strongly feel the other way about the situation.
mm,
So, yes, man, I get what Sancho is saying, but I also don't agree with it. If that makes sense,
uh,
because it's that thing of in those type of situations, you have to get like to like the nitty gritty, the nooks and the crans of everything. It's like now you have to start counting. Okay, cool. Like we know you're a bit lazy. You're what. Like we need to see where the margin is. Because like he said, doesn't want to apologize because then he's admitting to being lazy, not on time, and not doing his best. Well, you'll find like he only does that 3 out of, what I mean, 10 times. 7 out of
mm,
10, he's on time, he's whatever. So he's I think what she was trying to say is, look, yes, maybe I can be lazy. Sometimes I don't give my best and sometimes I'm late. But that statement that I'm apologizing to sort of eludes the fact that that's me 100% of the time, which I can't accept. Do you understand what I mean? So from that point of view, I get it. But then again, it's the problem of you got these two individuals with huge egos, and none of them wants to like be the bigger person. None of them wants
mm,
to like take the hit. None of them wants to be like, okay, let's reach a compromise over here and how we can deal with the situation. Because we do know Ten Hag is also a very stubborn coach, a very
yeah,
stubborn man. That one we can't deny it. So
yeah,
that situation, man, it's so tricky. It's really really tricky to deal with it. And for me, honestly, the only way this thing gets resolved is those
mm.
two get together in a room. Sort out their differences. If it means them going into a fucking boxing ring, but this thing needs to be
I
squashed,
would love
Ben.
that.
It needs
I
to
would
be
love that.
squashed because I'm sick and tired of it. I'm sick and tired of this Jadon Sancho thing because I love him as a player, very talented. He's a baller. You know what I mean? He's just man. He's one of the what you call it, the great, talents of this generation. And that's something that we can't deny. So it hurts me that a lot of people um are hating on him because of this thing that has happened. It's stupid things like, for example, like Luis Suarez. I always respected and admire him, but after the everything and the biting thing, I can't go back to like, even though I know that Suarez was a beast, you know what I mean? He was a beast. You can't question the talent there. But just for the fact of what he did, just tainted everything, and I don't want Sancho to fall under that same, thing of because of that incident that he had with Ten Hag, everyone just going to turn a blind eye to what type of a great player that he is. And yes, maybe he
Mm,
may not fit into our system, but we can't deny that he's a good player. So it's just sad to see that he's doing so many great things, and people still want to come back and take shots just because of what happened with Ten Hag, you know, and just
well,
appreciate that the fact that look, he's doing well. He's playing in the Champions League final tonight. Like
mm,
I don't want to say has proved us wrong, because we've always known that he's a good player. But it's also a relief to see that he's gone and sort of like proved it to himself or whatever, But
Yeah,
he's
yeah,
gone
yeah,
out
yeah.
there and showed the world or showed himself that I am this player. It didn't work out at United, not because I'm a bad player. Maybe just because I didn't work well with the manager and I just didn't fit into the system. But it doesn't mean that I'm not a good player. So I'm just happy that it's worked out at Dortmund just to like reassure himself that yes, I am this player, which is good to see.
So with Sancho for me, like I appreciate him as a player. Like he's a joy to watch. Definitely a joy to watch. But man, I won't lie to you. I really have disciplinarian issues, man. I was in boarding. I grew up in a system where there's hierarchy, where
Yeah,
there's just all these things. And honestly, like I get it in the sense of what he said because you put it well. Like he's not always not coming, like being late or not always not performing. Like that, just few moments there and
instances here
there.
and there. Yeah,
Yeah, but then I also heard something that was crazy because apparently Jadon Sancho would, like, for example, the gaffer would call it in to have a meeting with him, right?
yeah,
And Jadon Sancho wouldn't show up. He would
mm,
actually come late. And this is new. This is something that I heard yesterday, and I heard it on Talk Sport. One of these guys, Andy Mitten or something. They were talking about Jadon Sancho, and then they were talking about the stories or the things that they've heard about what he has done. And it took me back because I was like, wait, what? So he and the gaffer will call him in, like Jadon Sancho will be late or will do something wrong, and then he'll be called into the office to come in for discipline, and Sancho wouldn't show up. And then I was
yeah,
like, after hearing that, I was like, yeah, man, this boy, this is not easy. Like
but
I'm
but
hearing it,
yeah,
I'm hearing it, and like I said, like I don't have proof, but I'm like,
yeah,
shit, like, do we really need this? Like, there's no point. Like, there's
yeah,
no point of us having somebody that really doesn't want to be there. And dog, honestly,
yeah,
let me say this: I like Jadon Sancho. I don't like his attitude. I don't like the way he handled the situation at Manchester United. And it seems like he continues to be defiant. I feel like if Jadon Sancho wins the Champions League today, he's even going to become more cocky. Not cocky in the sense that you think like I'm the best player, but you feel like he's in the best position because of everything that has happened at Manchester United. And if you listen to all the rumors of like even his small interviews of not wanting to come back to Manchester United, it's almost like him telling us that, yeah, guys, at this point, like as long as that manager's there, I don't want to be there. I don't want to be around that vibe. The majority of Manchester United fans want the gaff. How do we reconcile the two? How
yeah.
do we? I put that
Now,
question to you because right now everybody has changed. The ex players, there's people have made a U-turn. They're like, listen, let's give the gaffer time.
yeah.
And now there's this situation with Jadon Sancho. How can we navigate this situation, my guy?
Now, there's this thing that keeps coming up, and also you keep mentioning it. A lot of people say that Jadon Sancho continues to be defiant, and for me, I don't see it that way. I don't see
Uh-huh.
he's continuing to be defiant. I think Jadon
Yeah.
Sancho and Ten Hag have both buried it, you know. But I feel the fact that it keeps coming up makes it feels
Mhm.
like it's a continuation when it's not. It was dead a
Okay.
long time ago. If you understand what I mean. It's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
today
yeah.
you ask me, are you gonna apologize? No, I'm not gonna apologize. I don't want to speak about it again. 3 months later, you come and ask me the same question. I'm like, but I gave you an answer three months ago. Nothing has
Mhm.
changed. That's not a continuance. You're literally just reiterating what you said from the first instance. And that's also why I don't want to continue indulging in this story because, this media, man, they just always find a way to to resurrect or bring up things or whatever that shouldn't even matter now, but they want it to matter. You know, obviously they're bringing it up now because they're like, okay, the seasons are over, right, across Europe. Jadon Sancho is playing in his last game for Dortmund, and then he's coming back to United because it was a loan. You understand what I
mm,
mean? So for me, it's just like
mm, yeah,
perfect time to bring up this story again and just sell more media. Let's cause and I'm not saying that the story is fake, but it's very easy to just attach things to whatever's already over there. You know, ah, and I
mm,
also heard that one day when he was called for a meeting. And I also heard, and because this thing
mm,
already exists, that Jadon Sancho is this type of player, they keep adding on to it. And we don't
mm,
even know if it's even true or not. You know,
mm,
I remember this
mm,
one episode you talked when we're talking about Rashford, and you're very adamant about name the sources. You understand what I
mm.
mean? Name the sources who are coming out with this information.
That's
So I think we should also do the same thing with this topic at hand. If people want
mm,
to say that Ten Hag called him for a meeting and he wasn't showing up, then the sources must come and like Ten Hag must come and say, or whoever leaked that story must come and say, I was there. Do you understand what I
mm,
mean? I was there when Ten Hag spoke to Jadon Sancho. Sancho didn't come. Ten Hag was screaming. Do you get what I mean? Because it is not going to be any source. It's not going to be any credit to all these rumors and stories that come out there. Like we are just doing them a favor by entertaining all of this nonsense, you know.
mm,
And for me, that's why I was saying that those two should just get into a room and just figure it out, get in front of the cameras and say their piece. Because if they're not, then stories are just going to keep coming out, and then it's just going to cause even a bigger rip between sides of Ten Hag versus Jadon Sancho, which for
mm,
me is very unnecessary and it doesn't need to be there. I think a lot of United fans, forget the fucking media, have really come to terms of, or however we feel about Ten Hag or Sancho, whatever, would rather prefer keeping the manager and we can let Sancho go for money. That's it. That's all we're interested in. Anything else around, whatever, if he doesn't want to apologize, I don't
mm,
care. Do you understand what I mean? What he did is what's done. It's done. You know, I'm one person who I hate it, even in a relationship. I hate things that are being brought up like six,
from the
7 months
past.
ago. Do you get what I mean? Like
Yeah,
we spoke about it, it's done, it's resolved. Why is it coming up 8 months again? You check what I mean? So that's how I feel about the Jadon Sancho situation. It was dealt with. Why are we still talking about this thing? He doesn't want to apologize. I've made my peace with it. He can leave. You know what I mean? He comes back, we put a price tag, and he goes. And we keep it moving. So I don't know why the media want to attack the story like it just happened yesterday. And then they just keep creating this. You know, man, I'm sick and tired of it. I promise you, I'm sick and tired of it. I don't care. I
that's
just
really good.
I just want everything to just fucking move along. Sancho comes back, we put a price tag, he moves along. Give us an answer on the Ten Hag thing. Is he staying? Is he going? Who's our next manager? Which players are up for sale? Which players do we want? That's all I'm interested in right now. Whatever happened
Mm,
then, don't give a fuck about it. It's done. It doesn't need to be brought up again.
nice, nice.
But yeah, man.
Mm, I feel you, D. I feel you. And I think the last topic that I wanted to jump on is um, um, the qualifications for Europe.
Yeah,
Because I mean we didn't do well to actually qualify, and I was happy that we were not going to make it to Europe because I don't know, my brain says that the more games that we play in, especially if we don't have a team, like we're trying to understand ourselves, like we need more time to play together rather than
yeah,
always be traveling and going back and forth. So there's an opportunity for us to be in the Europa League. I mean, we qualified because we won the FA Cup.
yeah,
However, there are issues. There's this whole thing with the Nice and Manchester United. So there's that rule that an owner that has two clubs under the same umbrella, whatever,
yeah.
cannot.
They can't be
And
competing in the same
yes,
European competition or
and
something like
Nice
that.
finished in a higher position in League 1, and
Yeah,
we didn't.
yeah,
So we were in Europe.
yeah,
Now this news could potentially knock us to Europa Conference League.
yeah.
By the way, yeah. So I know it's a stupid question, but
Yeah.
like, would you play in the conference or not be in Europe at all? Like I've been thinking about it because I was like, you know what?
Yeah.
If we're going to four, like Europa is it. Like it's all
Yeah,
there. That is it.
yeah,
We're not going. We're not going to the depths and the
dude,
core of the earth. No, 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 no,
dude.
no. No.
Because conference, you know what conference feels like? Conference feels like the championship, like championship league. It feels like we've been relegated out of Europe. You know what I mean? That feels like a relegation. Like for real, for real. Like I don't even know why conference league had to even exist in the first place. That's just the weirdest thing. It's nonsense. Mhm.
Because
Mm.
teams like that. Yeah, that's why the
Because I'm
Conference League is there.
like, Ben, who actually watches Conference League? You know, I was even asking Chuma the other day. I'm like, what's even the Conference League theme song? I don't even know it. You know, like, is that bad, fam?
I only know the Europa one. Yes, I only know
I
the
know the
Europa one.
Europa
But
one.
yeah,
You know
yeah.
what I mean? Yeah, yeah. And the Champions League one, you know, at least. But conference, nah, fam. I can't watch Conference League, fam. I can't. And you know the thing is, I'll say this, but I'll be glued to the TV. You'll see me posting team news there, Baba, on Glorious channel. Like, hey, we're playing AZ, Alkenheimer, what? Fam, I don't want, fam. I don't want. I just, and you know, yeah. Yeah, yeah. But yeah, man, I can't. But here's the thing, yeah, because I strongly believe in karma. You know, yes, we did win FA Cup, right? And those guys, is it Nice, they finished in a higher, league position than what we did. I don't know how much higher, but they finished higher than
They
us.
were they were they were fifth.
They were fifth. Okay. Did they win anything else? They just finished fifth?
No,
They never won any domestics or whatever, whatever. Cool. So when it comes to this, I don't know who is more deserving. Because I think when you look at the traditional way of entering into these competitions in terms of the places where you finish, then probably Nice would have a bigger what you call this priority over United for them to
yeah,
be in that Europa. But then I was also reading something the other day where they're like, the media would prefer, or the FA or these big footballing boards would prefer the bigger teams to be in those type of competitions because it brings in more viewers, right? So people are most likely to watch to watch Europa League with United in it than they are to watch with Nice in it. You understand? So there's this conflict. So there's this thing of yes, there's this ongoing issue, but at the end of the day, it's like if the FA will figure out a way to get United into the Europa League, they'll figure out like a clause or they'll create a new law so they can allow the Ineos group to have United in the Europa because we won the FA Cup just because of the viewership, the numbers, you know. So yeah, it seems like it's gonna spin in favor of United just because of how big of a club United are. You check. So, but vice versa, it could also draw attention to the conference because people will be interested to see how United would fare in the conference league, right? So yeah, so here's my honest opinion. I feel like we need to play in the conference league, right? Not because of the media or for whatever, but I just feel that these guys need to experience the depths. They need to experience hell. They need to like remember that feeling of not wanting to be there ever again. To do whatever it takes to not find themselves in that position again. Because I feel if we're gonna play in Europa, karma is gonna hit us hard, fam. And we're not even gonna get far. It's gonna hit us hard in the chest. So for us, we play conference. You guys, you fucked up, you finished eighth, you're playing in conference league. There's not going to be any cheating or funny ways of maneuvering you up into positions or allowing you to play in a competition where you shouldn't even be in the first place. You guys didn't perform this season, go play in conference league because that's your level. Then prove to us that you deserve to be in the Champions League. Go and win that conference. Go and win conference league. Because if you think you're better, if you think United is too good for conference league, go prove it. Go prove it to us. Simple as that. Go prove it. You're saying you're better than all these teams that go prove it. That's the only way. I am. That's
true.
my opinion on that.
Man, you see, people, this is why I call D Pastor D, because he does that. He didn't even realize it. He didn't even realize it, but it's fine. It's fine.
And then I'll watch it back and be like, shit, that's it.
I know I was spitting game here. But
Eh.
yeah, man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man.
that's true, man. That's true. Manchester United. Um, by the way, D, I'm still nervous, bro, of the preseason. I really
Yeah.
am. Yeah, I can't shake this feeling off. And this is the last thing that I wanted to mention. And I
Okay.
want like I don't want the repeat of last season and the first season at
Yeah.
Erik Ten Hag, because
Yeah.
these two beginning of the seasons have not been good.
Mm.
And I don't know why I keep coming back to this thought, but I think I need you to put me at ease or something like that, because that's what you do. Like when I'm there overthinking, you be like, nah, Benito, it's like this.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
still feeling, I still have these strong feelings that we might have the same kind of preseason,
Yeah. Okay.
particularly because we've got boys that are playing in the Euros and the Olympics and what. So I don't
Yeah.
know if it's ever, I don't know if, I'm not sure. I'm nervous.
Yeah.
I'm nervous. So I want you to try and do that thing that you do, man, where you be like, hey, Benito, relax,
It'll be okay.
relax, okay,
Yeah,
because
man.
bruh, when I tell you I'm on the edge, I
Yeah.
am.
Yeah.
I am. Like every time I check my phone and I'm checking and I just see like a notification with Manchester United, I'm like, you know,
Yeah.
I'm doing bruh, I'm nervous,
That's
bro.
me, man. That's me.
Yeah,
If I just see a title with Ten Hag, I'm like, oh boy, what's up, boy? What is it now? Yeah.
I feel like when it comes to football, you are the only guy that can just say something and I'll be like, the fuck? How, where did this come from? So my guy,
Yeah, man.
what do you think? Do you think Ineos have paid attention to what has been going on, especially with that preseason situation? Do you
Yeah.
think that they're going to fix that thing? Like, how do you see our preseason being? Because I don't know. I feel it's going to be chaotic. I don't know why. I don't know
Yeah.
why. Because we're not signing in players, or I'm not feeling like I'm not like even the transfers. Like
Yeah.
at this stage, you would feel and want to be getting some strong links. They
Yeah.
are there. We are Manchester United. We are always linked with players. But now, at this very moment, I'm not getting those strong links, like where you get that thing of like, yeah, no, we're gonna get Bruno or Mason Mount. No, this like you see, like Mason Mount, when we got him, it was
Yeah.
weird. Then the moment it started picking up momentum, it was like, whoa, oh, oh, Mason is coming here. I'm not
Yeah.
feeling any of that. I'm not
Yeah.
feeling any nothing.
Yeah.
And then Erik Ten Hag is there in holiday, smoking his cigars, he's chilling, he's waiting. Like
Yeah.
he's waiting to know Wagwan.
Yeah.
And we are here. I am D.
You know
D.
what? Uh, I wanna say something very, very weird. I don't know if the word
My
controversial is the
guy.
best word to
Hey.
use, but man, I don't know if you might laugh at this, but I think this question that you're posing, I think to answer your question, you have to
Mm,
go and watch the video that you made. Because I think in that video you've answered yourself. I think you've answered yourself. I think if you go and watch that video, Ben, you would like it's like you talking to yourself. It's like when you made that video, it's like your subconscious talking to your conscious mind, you know. And this question that you're asking right now, you go and watch that video is gonna answer your question. Because in that video that you made, you're talking about Ineos's rules in terms of moving forward, in terms of signing players, etc., etc., etc. So I think what you spoke about in that video is what's going to happen, because you're talking about like how we just got Mason Mount and all these players, etc., etc., etc. The reason why it has been so shambolic is because there's never been a system in place. There's never been like
mm,
we're gonna get this type of player, we're gonna spend this amount of money, we're going to sell that, sort of player. When it comes to when how we get players in and out, it's not gonna be on the manager. I just want a
mm,
position, right? And then afterwards, we'll go and get that player for you in that position. right?
mm,
Whereas before it wasn't like that.
mm,
So I think that alleviates the whole um what word did you use? That chaos. It won't be chaotic because
mm,
we know exactly what we're doing when we're going into that transfer window. Whereas
mm,
before it was just basically who is available. Oh, Mount's available. Let's get him. Oh, this player's available. Let's get him. It was only certain players that we would get. And I think for the first time this season, when I was looking at like the stats, when I was going through the stats for the season of like the players and stuff, I think probably for the first time this season we got a player in every single position, front to back, goalkeeper, defender, midfielder, striker, whereas most of the
mm,
cases we would get everything else except for a midfield or everything else except for a striker, where this season we actually got all of that. You check. So I think moving
mm,
forward, I think they need to look at, first of all, which players are leaving, which players they need to get rid of, and then which players they need to replace in set positions. So, like I said, having the likes of the management that they brought into the club, these guys have got vast experience of dealing with this at previous clubs that they're coming from, right? So it's not going to be only down to the manager. They've got a proper system in place. The management before didn't understand anything, so I think that's why it was solely reliant on the manager himself to be very specific about which position and which player, because if you had to bring forward to Ed Woodward and be like, want to get Mason Mount, and he's like, what's a Mason Mount? Like, no, he's a midfielder. You know what I mean? Like, oh, okay. Where does he play for? Chelsea. Oh, why do you need him? Oh, because Mata's contract just expired. Do you get what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
they don't get anything. For them, the bottom line is going to be, will he sell shirts? Yes. Oh, okay,
mm,
cool. Let me sign the check. Do you understand what I'm saying? Whereas in now, it's like I need a midfielder. Now you've got people who are footballing people who have played the game. You know what I mean?
mm,
People who
yeah,
understand.
mm,
You know what I mean? They don't need to. They don't need. You don't need to go far. As in, like, I want
mm,
this player. They understand who the player is. They understand. They've been tracking these players for years. They know if they're injury prone. They know how much lifetime they have left in their career. They know the salary. How it's going to implement the club. So for them to have a better spectrum of options and a better outlook in terms of how can we help you as the manager, right? Because sometimes the manager's vision can be very narrow, whereas the scouting teams is much more broad. So maybe the manager would want a Mason Mount, but then they bring in like a kudos, for example, and be like, but here's kudos. Kudos is a
mm,
way there's way better longevity in this player. He's gonna cost us
mm,
less, and
mm,
he's gonna offer you more than what you want in Mason Mount. So we're gonna bring in
mm,
this option for you instead of Mason Mount. You understand what
mm,
I mean? So I think it's gonna be way more organized and way more structured. Now I'm not saying they're gonna get it right on the first bounce, right? And that's why
mm,
sort of like Ten Hag last season, Andrew Nana this season were like, it's your first season. We're gonna let you fumble, but we need you to find your feet. This is
yeah,
Manchester United. There's only so much sympathy we can have towards you. So I do
mm,
believe it's gonna be the same thing this season where there's gonna be a lot of faults, and one of the biggest ones obviously will be getting rid of Ten Hag, but there'll be a lot of
mm,
faults that are gonna be made along the way. But I do believe because we do have people who know what the fuck they're doing, I do believe that from season two moving forward, man, it has to be better than what we had before. It has to.
yeah,
I just
agree.
don't see how it can be the same. I can't see it.
Hey, to
Yeah, man.
close this,
Mm,
but I had an interesting conversation with somebody that you might know.
okay.
You remember Casey Stradom?
Yeah. Yeah,
Do
yeah,
you
Arsenal.
know? He what team does he support?
KC, he supported United, right?
I thought so. I did. I did.
Okay.
I thought he
Okay.
did. But turns out he supports Arsenal. Yeah.
Okay.
And we
Okay.
had a
Cool. Cool. Cool.
very,
Cool.
very interesting conversation
Yeah.
going back and forth. And
Okay.
I picked up D. And I
Mm.
want you to maybe this can come into the final thoughts or something like that. But I want to ask you this question. Why, how it like why is the world refusing to understand what Manchester United went through this season? Why? Because every like even him, like a lot of people, they're like, get rid of this manager. Like he's done nothing. Like they say it with such ice in their veins, like so to the point, like so frank, and
Yeah.
they don't. I don't know if they don't understand or if they don't want to understand or if they're not trying to think even more. But the way they talk about Erik Ten Hag, man, this guy is coming here. I don't see him improving Manchester United. You guys are
Yeah.
useless. Like, what has he done? What has he done? They ask these questions, and I sit there asking myself, like, what? So I went into this debate with him because he was like, "Yeah, no, we want you guys to have to keep Erik Ten Hag, because we know that Erik Ten Hag is going to keep plunging you guys
Yeah.
down." That's basically like, no, keep him. As rival fans, we want you to keep Erik Ten Hag
Yeah.
because that guy is going to be your downfall. So keep him.
Yeah.
And then they go on to say like, "Oh, this season is shit." Nobody talks about the first season.
Yeah.
He was like,
Yeah.
then I asked him, I'm like, he was like, Arteta was eighth in his first season and won the FA Cup. And I'm like, we won Carabao and we were third and we went to a final. Second
Yeah.
season, we were eighth, seventh or eighth, eighth or seventh team,
We finished eighth
eighth, and we
and
won the
won the FA
FA
Cup.
Cup. So what are you on about?
Yeah.
What are you trying to tell me? Like, are you hearing? And then bro, it was a lengthy conversation.
Yeah.
But what I picked up from it, D, is, and this is the thing that I don't understand,
Mm.
why people just blatantly just say, no, this guy is not good enough. Because the way I see it, bro, if we were to sack Erik Ten Hag is not the kind of manager that will lack jobs.
Mm.
Like somebody will snatch him up immediately. United decides to be silly and get rid of him. He's that kind of manager. There are managers out there right now, teams out there right now looking for clubs. And this guy can easily go out there and do the business. You see, okay, Hans Flick has gone to Barcelona, but if
Yeah.
we sacked Erik Ten Hag, Barcelona were going to think about him. Bayern Munich were going to think about him if they didn't get company. All these
Yeah.
top teams would have thought of Erik Ten Hag. And I know as a fact that if we were to get rid of Erik Ten Hag, these fucking fans will be like, wait, so you guys were listening to us? Nah, we were just mocking you guys. Like, we were just taking a piss
Yeah.
at you guys, So how do we draw the line? Because I'm trying to understand, like what say you?
Mm.
What say
Mm.
you about these fans and these people that just say that Erik Ten Hag is shit?
All right. So here's my theory. All right. And it's a combination of
Yeah.
theories. First of all, well, the first one's not really a theory, it's sort of a statement. I
Mm,
think it's very disappointing from an Arsenal side of point of view for them to not sort of like understand the culture of United because they sort of had a similar one to ours in terms of keeping managers for long, right?
mm,
Whereas other
mm,
clubs, if the manager's not doing well, sack, bring a new one, sack, bring a new one. Whereas United have never really had that sort of culture since inception, right? We've
mm,
probably had less than 7 or 8. Okay, fine. Obviously, during this past decade, we've had a lot, but maybe like 8 managers in total ever since its existence. Whereas a lot of clubs have gone through more than 20 managers. So we are not that type of club who just sack and whatever. So I can understand from the other club's point of views where it's like he's not doing a good job, get rid of him, on to the next one. Right? Cool. That's your culture. That's not our culture. You understand? So it's
mm,
it's weird when you hear that come from an Arsenal point of view. The
mm,
second thing is something that we spoke about, I think last year in one of the episodes. We were talking about United players coming to Manchester United. Why United still have that pool, that even though we're not doing well, we sort of end up
mm,
with like this galactical team. You understand?
mm,
So
mm,
I think it puts more pressure on Man United managers where it's like you have the players at your disposal. Why are you not doing so well? And then if you
mm,
draw those comparisons back to Arsenal, a lot of the great players and the good players left. And when you look at Arsenal, it's only now that they're doing well that you can actually put credit or put these players on a pedestal, right? But if you go name to name, right, United players still hold that greater authority, even though they're not better players, But if you had to go position for position, United players are still looked as better. They're still looked as, these great players, and some of them
mm,
are. You can't argue about Bruno. You know what I mean? Um, Rashford when he what he did last season, when we had David De Gea, Luke Shaw, Martinez, Varane, Casemiro, Ericsson. You understand all these big footballing names that a lot of people forget that most of them have passed their prime, but because we've got such caliber of names in our squad, people are like, but you got these players. Why are you in this position? We just have Gabriel Martinelli, Martin Odegaard, Bakayoko Saka, Smith Rowe, blah blah. It doesn't really roll off the tongue that nice as like Casemiro, Varane. You know what I mean? Like our players just sound like the A team. You know what I mean, fam? So I think there's so much judgment towards that because United are still able to pull these big names, Jadon Sancho, Ronaldo, like Cavani. You know what I mean? Like what's happening? So for them, it's like if you got an elite team and a manager can't finish in like a league, what you call this competitive position, like first or second, and is not winning major trophies, then you need to get someone who can do it with the big players that you have at your club. But that's just one side of the story. Because the other side of the story is that a lot of these sexy name players that you're saying, oh, but you have these players, why couldn't you? We haven't had a left back the whole fucking season, you
Bruh,
know how many
the entire
combinations of center backs have we
like,
had? We haven't had Martinez. We've had like Varane for 22 games this whole season across all competitions, not just in the Premier League, right? Pisaka's also been injured most of the time. Sergio, what's his name? Regulon hardly played. He came in injured, left injured, you know. Sofran Amrabat, same thing, came injured, and then yeah, he just never played. Hoyland came injured. You know, Kobe was injured before. Like Diallo was injured. Like all these players that you guys are mentioning,
bruh,
like where were they this season? Were you guys even watching United games? We never had these
bruh,
players. We were crawling this season, scraping results. It was mad. And they even forgetting that a lot of these players who did come to our rescue were even on the chopping block. The Scott
yeah,
McTominays, the Harry Maguires. These guys were meant to be out of the club, and they came and saved our season. Johnny Evans, for fuck's sakes, you know what I mean? Like he just ended up in the team. Like that guy who wasn't invited to the party just ends up leaving with the last number girl. Like who are you? How did you even get here? You know what I mean? How did you get this contract? Like that was Johnny Evans. He just rolled up. You know what I mean? And then found himself back
yeah,
in the squad. You know,
yeah,
and
yeah.
till this day, it's still so funny his story of like,
Mm,
oh, Leicester relegated. I need to find a club where I can train just to keep up my fitness. And then they just watched him on the United ground, and
yeah.
they're like, he knows the place, he knows what the dressing rooms are. Let's just give him a contract, for 1 year.
Academy boy.
Nyana. You understand what I mean? Just so
Mm,
that we can feel the numbers of how many players that we signed, which is absolutely ridiculous. But yeah, man, in all fairness, I think that's where a lot of the judgment comes from. You know,
mm,
they look at United still as this great big club because of the revenue. Like I said, the players that they're bringing into the club as well, and they're like, why are you guys not getting it right? Look at other clubs; they don't have the branded players that you guys have, and they're able to do all these great things. Why are you guys not able to get it all across the board? And I'm like, man, it's one of those things. Just tired of talking about it. Because like, guys, it's Ten Hag's second season and you can
mm,
see what's been happening. Like, you guys want to talk about Liverpool and Van Dijk. That was one fucking player. For us,
mm.
it's the whole squad. Like we had very important players that are
Yeah.
not in that system. So
I actually
I,
think
I'm
I actually
mhm.
think I actually think using the Van Dijk situation just emphasizes even more because Van Dijk was
Mm,
one player and he
dude.
completely derailed
Yeah,
Liverpool's season. Now what
completely,
imagine Van Dijk, Henderson, Trent, Mo Salah, and maybe
dude.
Sadio Mane are out. Imagine.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
Liverpool team is that crazy. Yeah, yeah.
exactly, exactly. So yeah,
Uh,
man, I don't know what to say about it, but for me, that's just my theory. Like why these guys are just attacking us is because they still view us as a threat. You know what I mean? Like they feel
how?
they get so much. I don't know. It's like they want to come and problem solve for us. You know what I mean? Like I don't know what good it does for them, or it's just weird how much they're invested in this club, where they'll even bring up things you
Like,
didn't even know. You know what I
and
mean?
don't
They'll
get
come and
it
start feeding
wrong.
you the news. Exactly. It's wrong
Yeah,
stuff. And
bro.
like,
At least if you're gonna say something bad about another club, get your
mm,
facts straight.
exactly,
Understand. Like we don't
dude,
come and say up things about Liverpool or Arsenal or Chelsea or Man
bam,
City, just saying it with our chest because I mean, yeah, we do say things for banter
yes,
because we're taking a piss at each other. But then
dude,
when we're talking about other clubs, we give genuine like we criticize the situation genuinely. They
dude,
for when it comes to
dude,
Manchester United, they're just like fuck off.
man,
Like you
they
guys,
must they, they must literally just come out and say we hate United. You know,
yeah,
I was watching the
yeah,
ESPN guys because you know the ESPN guys just hate United. They lie that they don't hate us. They're just saying no, we're
dude,
just being critical. The
dude.
I don't know if you watched the thing, the show that they did after we won the FA Cup final. And, you know, it was
Uh,
so funny because everybody was like hating on United that we won, saying that no, City were not up for it. They already did the treble. You know, the fatigue from winning the league. And then there was a ray of sunlight because Nadem, you know Nadem, yeah? He's also on the
yeah,
show. He used to play for Man City. I like
yeah,
how he just dismissed all of that bullshit. And I actually commended him because he's an ex-City player. He's what was a City fanboy, you know, and he came out with an honest opinion and said, when they started talking, you could even see him shaking his head and then just saying that, nah, guys, like let's not cap. This had nothing to do with winning the league fatigue. This had nothing to do with
mm,
whatever. Ten Hag came with a game plan. They did the job. They won it. You
particularly.
know, this thing of giving excuses for City and saying that, oh, but you know Haaland hasn't been on this whole season. Fuck you. How many
Huh?
goals did he
Don't
score?
be
You know what
mean.
I mean? Like, don't
Nothing,
come and talk
nothing.
shit. You know what I mean? That's the tone about no, but you know, De Bruyne just came back from injury. Just came back from injury. Are you guys high? Like, what do you mean he just came back from injury? You know,
They're
fam,
mad.
if you go and watch it, like the amount of excuses they're trying to give for City losing, and Nathan was just shaking his head, like, come on, guys. I
Uh-uh.
know you guys hate United, but come on. I used to play for City. I'm a City fanboy, and I don't even have
That's
the goal to come and make excuses for City. You know, United went, they did the thing, they won the game, shut up and move on. Like this thing of saying no, you know, they probably partied and fuck off.
fuck off.
Get out of here
Like
with
they
that
had a
bullshit.
week to
I don't want to hear
prepare
it.
for that day.
I
Yeah,
don't want to hear
they had
it, you
time to
know?
prepare for that day. Yeah,
Dude,
yeah, yeah,
exactly. Exactly. Ample
yeah.
time. Both teams ample time. It's not like any team played like mid week before whatever, you know,
And
City also
you
got
know,
knocked out of Champions League. So it's not like they had more games than us. You know, it was just one of those things of Ten Hag he just nailed it on the head. The players,
I'm
they came in
telling
there
you,
determined. That was it. We were
I'm
more
telling
hungry
you.
for it than and you know, Ben, the weird thing is, and I know I told you this, and I keep telling a lot of United fans. So I know a lot of United fans, and in all fairness, myself included, I thought City were gonna beat us that day, but I shit you not. Just like how I told you and I told everybody else that that week I manifested it. And on
Me
that
too.
day when the whistle blew, I already knew United were winning the FA Cup. I was that
Mm,
sure. I had no
mm.
doubt in my mind. I didn't watch that game praying, crossing fingers, you know, rabbit's foot, four leaf cloth. No, I'm like, this one, it's ours. It's ours. There is no
Yeah.
way City are winning this one. I don't care. You know what I mean? I don't care. And the reason why I had so much faith was because of Ten Hag. Because if Ten Hag was not that type of manager who is a serial winner, because when he came to this job, he said, I came here to win trophies, you know, and I believe in him. And because I have that belief in Ten Hag, I was 100% sure Ten Hag was going to win that title because he's a title winning manager. And if people cannot see it after that win for the FA Cup final, then I don't know what the fuck else you want. Because that's what
Yeah.
he promised and that's what he has delivered. You know,
You
he
know,
delivered it last season, he
you know
delivered
people
it
are
this
saying
season. Mm. So,
the excuse they give is, oh,
mm.
that was a once-off game.
Nah, fuck off.
Like, like if you really want to prove, bruh, because you know, D, you know what was wild about that whole, even the victory. Did you see the
Yeah.
attack that he got after
Dude,
the win
fam, I
from
was
the journalists, from
disgusted.
Gary Lineker, from Alan
Dude,
Shearer? Bro, they were asking these questions, and we're like, really? Like we
let
just
him
won.
Let him just celebrate. Why you ask him about his job? Let him celebrate. Not like,
So they're
"Oh,
like,
do you think you're still gonna have your job tomorrow?" Dude, let him fucking enjoy his win. Like, that no, man. It's
and then
appalling.
the most stupid question they asked. They were like, you can see why we've been complaining about Manchester United because why haven't we seen what they did today throughout the season?
Dude, like stupidity.
Like
The
I'm like,
stupidity.
bro,
The
so these
stupidity.
are the things that are
Dude, the
that
one
that
that the one that also cracked me up. The one that also cracked me up. I'm gonna send you the clip. It was the guys from the ESPN panel, and they're talking about Nico how he is. And you're saying that no, I don't understand how what you call this Martinez was allowed to bully Haaland like that. Blah blah blah. He shouldn't have.
that
And then the other
Pulisic would
guy
have
was
been
like,
better with
but wait a
Martinez.
minute. If Haaland allowed Martinez to bully him off the ball, then clearly Haaland wasn't trying hard. You understand what I'm saying? Like, how could he allow this
Yeah,
small person to get on top of
to
him?
bully
You know
him.
what I mean?
Yeah,
Exactly. Then Haaland is just not strong enough to compete against Martinez. And that's on Haaland, not on the ref or Martinez for them to be saying that, no,
mm,
look how he's bullying Haaland off the ball. Like, dude, and then Nico was trying to like explain himself. No, that should not be allowed. But like, dude, what are you, Ben? I should send you that episode. I promise.
you
Like, Nico, you
should.
could even just see
But
Nico was
Nico
capping.
is the
You
one
could
who
even see he
he's
didn't
an
even know what to
idiot.
say anymore. He just ended up just waffling. He just ended up waffling because he literally didn't know what to say. He could see he got
I'm
caught out,
telling you,
but he just didn't want to admit that he got caught out. And it's like, dude,
they
what are
kept him
you
out on
saying?
the because he was the one who also said something about no Martinez him being short and small
Exactly.
like
Like,
oh this and then Martinez
dude,
goes and proves him wrong and
dude,
then
he
like
still wants to, dude. He
he's
then he wants to turn
yeah
it
he still
around
wants to
and says,
yeah
no, but he's too vicious. This should not be allowed in the league. Like, get out. What do you want?
get
Like,
out
what do you want? You know what I mean? Like, nah, fam. Just say you're a hater and you've come here to annoy United fans. Then
yeah
we can watch
yeah
the shows comfortably. But when you just come here and say it's not that I'm hating on United, but blah, 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 like fuck
mm,
off. You know what I mean? Like get out. And
yeah
the way they're so convinced that Ten Hag needs to be, hey man, that one just hey
bro like
hey.
if Erik ten Hag was to get like if he was to keep his job like I'm hoping and praying that he season. Doesn't matter what it is, but he needs to get
Yeah,
another trophy next season because they are going to come at his head. They're gonna
yeah.
be like, dude, nah, nah, nah.
But you know
And
what's
then
funny,
he
Ben?
was. I've been here for 3 years and I produced
Yeah,
3 cups. Every year
dude.
I've returned.
Exactly.
That
And you know,
that is a strong argument.
and you know the funny thing, if he goes and wins the Premier League, I know, I'm just saying, if he goes and wins
Yeah,
the Premier League, watch how they're gonna U-turn. Like they never said the shit they've been saying this season.
bro,
They're gonna be like,
bro.
this is what we were talking about. Ten Hag was listening to what we had to say. And plus, because of
Right.
the Sir Ineos group, now that he has the structure, Ten Hag is
Yes.
the best man for the job. You can see how he has got strength to strength. He needed that experience in the 2 seasons, but you just wanted him sacked last season. Hey man.
Nah, fuck. Especially even the fans that were busy Erik ten Hag out. I don't want to
Yeah.
hear them.
Oh, yeah,
I
yeah,
don't
yeah.
want to see messages that say, yeah, my gaffer, my full sack,
Yeah, yeah, no, get out.
you know.
Don't wanna hear it.
I'm sick and tired of
Don't
it.
wanna hear it, man.
So we're gonna do something different in our
Yeah.
closing stages because
Alright.
normally I give the final word. I normally say the final thoughts, but today because I've missed my boy so much, I'm gonna hand off.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give you the baton, my guy,
Yeah,
and
man.
I'm gonna have you give us final thoughts of Manchester United, like
Alright.
what you like what you think for the transfer,
Yeah.
Epic, moving forward,
Yeah.
Ineos, wrap it.
Yeah, man. I think my final words is, give Ineos time. you know. And I think don't get your opinion swayed by like, in fact, don't even allow me to sway your opinion. I think just go and do your own due diligence, right? Like,
Yeah,
don't just listen to what people are saying, but go and do the research for yourself and make your own just opinion about the situation, because I
yeah,
think there's a greater level to that than just mimicking words of what someone now said to say, oh, if you're behind Ineos, you're behind the Glazers, you're wah, 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 but you can't even
yeah.
formulate your own opinion based off whatever you have decided or seen for yourself.
Mm,
So that's
mm,
what I would like to say. Like, go and do some adequate research and come back with a much more formulated opinion on that. Another thing I want to say is, man, trust in the gaffer. You know what I mean? Like,
Ah,
it'll be a shame if we had to lose him, but I think, if he does stay on board, I think, a lot of people need to rally behind him because, if anything, he has fulfilled his statement when he said, I've come to win trophies, and he has done that. So I don't know what else you want, and
yeah,
it's only going to get better from here. So,
yeah,
drown out all that media nonsense, and just stick with your gut instinct and believe that Ten Hag is the man for our job. Um,
mm,
and then, yeah, man, I also want to give a big shout out to Bruno Fernandez because I think in that one game he didn't play, it really showed everybody that
ah.
Bruno is united,
I'm
whether you like
telling
it or
you,
not. Whether you like it
I'm
or not,
telling you,
whether you
yeah,
like it, put respect on that man's name. Put respect
preach,
on that man's name. You know, all you guys who
bro.
are, talking
That
all
they
this.
don't
Hey,
know
hey,
who
I
Bruno
don't
is,
think we
bro.
need Bruno. Bruno, shit.
Ah,
Nah, put respect on that man's name. He's united. He's the driving force. He's the captain. That dude,
listen,
he embodies everything about United. You
I'm
know,
telling you,
so
I'm telling you.
he's my player of the season. I don't want to hear
Thank
this
you.
Dalot nonsense.
Yeah,
I don't want to.
yeah,
It's not me taking shots at Dalot.
I
Kobe,
know.
good contestant, but obviously he only played half the season. I think he's
Next
like,
season is gonna win.
yeah,
Mm.
Garnacho. I'm actually impressed with him because he actually has the same results, same, or well, let me just say, stats as Marcus Rashford, and albeit it's like his first
This season,
season. Yeah, this season, same stats as thing. But Ben, there's this. Sorry. This is a bit of the last thing about this
yeah.
shocking stat. I was looking at Rasmus Højlund's shot on goals for the whole season. It's
Every
disgusting.
competition.
It's disgusting, Ben.
All
It's
comps.
disgusting. It's disgusting. Yes, it's disgusting. He has got
How bad?
48 attempts at goal. The wingers, all our wingers are in the hundreds. That just goes to show how much of the ball he's not getting, how much of opportunities he's not getting to shoot at goal.
Remember
It's
that thing I sent to you?
disgusting, Ben. It's disgusting.
Remember? Remember that thing I came to you. I think
Yes,
I
you did. You
ran
did.
to you, and I'm
Yeah.
like, this,
That they don't want to pass him the
this,
ball.
they don't want to pass it. Apparently, they don't
How
trust him.
do
And
the
I'm like,
wingers,
what?
how do the wingers, Garnacho, Anthony, Rashford, have more attempts at goal than Rasmus? Rasmus does not overtake any one of them. Any one of them, fam. Even Diallo, who just played a few games this season, his shots at goal are actually close to Rasmus
Rashford.
Holland. Yeah. Dude.
Yeah,
Hey, but yeah,
I
man.
think you're just giving
Yeah,
me another headache. You're just
yeah.
giving me another headache because now I'm thinking
It's
these
heartbreaking.
wingers. Yeah, it's
It's
now I'm thinking about
heartbreaking,
wingers that
Ben.
I want at Manchester United. I want
Yeah,
Olise now more than anything.
yeah, yeah,
I want Olise now more than life. Like
yeah,
this nigga must be here yesterday, you
yeah,
know? Because we no 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 no
yeah,
no
yeah. When
no
I saw it,
no
I thought I was reading wrong. I
no.
honestly thought I was reading those stats wrong. And
That
I'm
is
like,
rubbish. That
wow,
no D
wow,
no
wow,
for
wow.
Manchester
Our striker.
United.
Boy,
I'm
these
telling you
guys
now.
don't give Rasmus the ball.
If we sit Waza, Van Nistelrooy, Berbatov, all these strikers that have donned United shirts at Manchester United, they will tell you one thing that it
Mm,
was getting delivery. Yes,
yes.
there were certain games that were tough and stuff, but then that's the Manchester United way. We play
Mm-hmm,
with wingers, we
mm-hmm.
deliver. How the nah,
Yeah, man.
that is bad. That is shocking.
Yeah,
That is disgusting.
yeah.
Bro, that is man, no. And
But
look at our goal difference this season. It was negative, right?
yeah, Should have been. Let me just double
Last
check. But
season we
yeah,
just made what? Was it 2 or 0 or what? I
dude,
forgot.
it's
Like the season
it's
before his first season, we just scraped
yeah,
our goal
because
difference.
they don't want to give the striker the ball. Look how Ronaldo was
So,
frustrated before he
so
left,
next
throwing his
season, D,
arms in the air.
you know what, D? Next season,
Yeah,
if our goal difference is not healthy, that's not improvement for us.
yeah,
It's not improvement.
yeah,
And at that point, we need to start asking big, big questions
exactly,
because we can't be having this. We can't be
dude,
having this.
dude.
And Erik Ten Hag, I love him. I still trust him and believe him, but he needs to
Yeah,
fucking
yeah, yeah, hundred
in
percent.
those boring asses. Like, nah, this is rubbish. It's
Yeah,
rubbish.
yeah, man.
All right,
But yeah,
man.
man.
So,
Those are my final thoughts. Anything you want to say before we wrap this up?
nah, man. I was leaving that one for you. That was special for you, bro. I missed you.
Yeah,
I missed
man. Likewise.
chilling and having you, and because our lives are all over the place, like we're
Yeah,
not getting
yeah.
chance opportunity. So whenever I get to see my boy, man, I'm always ecstatic. I'm always happy,
Hundred
and I'm like,
percent.
you know what? It's been a minute. Let my boy
Yeah.
speak. My boy speak. So yeah, man.
Mm.
That one was for you, man. So maybe
Awe,
you can
awe,
maybe
my
you can
guy.
close it for us like you always do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, but before I close it off, thank you once again for listening to this final episode of the catch up for this season. We'll be back again next season with more catch up episodes. But during the break, we will be covering a lot of football. We're going to the Euros, of course, not us, but you know what I mean. So obviously, we want to be covering. We're
Yeah.
gonna be covering a lot of the European competitions and see how we can spice it up. But yeah, once again, thank you for listening to this episode of the Glory Reds podcast. You can catch us on all your favorite podcasting platforms. You can catch us on all social media platforms. Follow us for Glory Reds. And with that being said, we are out. Peace.
Peace.